It's Talk of Iowa from IPR News. I'm Charity Nebbe. Trolls have invaded Iowa in the best way possible. Danish artist Thomas Dambo has become world famous for his giant troll sculptures. He builds them entirely out of reclaimed materials, and he's hidden them in natural areas all over the planet. He has built 175 and counting. The trolls and other magical creations are multiplying quickly. He's working on a goal right now of creating at least one installation in all 50 states, and Iowa is home to 2 installations. We recorded this conversation in April when both projects were in progress. The troll at the Museum of Danish America in Elkhorn is named Fjord Ferryman. He is standing in a wooden ferry and paddling with an oar made out of a tree. Clinton is home to 3 trolls, Helmut, Marvin, and Warren. We visited during the building process, and we'll share those conversations in just a few minutes. I spoke with Thomas Dambo just before he traveled to Iowa for the culmination of these projects. Hello, Thomas.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And first, I want to talk about you and these trolls, because for you, this journey doesn't really start with trolls. It starts with trash. Tell me how this started.
Yeah, it basically started with me falling into a trash can when I was 6 years old, and then my mother took a good photo of me standing in that trash can, and then I started building with trash and made treetop houses, and I made furniture, and I started rapping about trash and about dumpster diving in my late teenage years. And then I started making music videos with trash. And then I was painting graffiti and thought like I should make street art with scrap wood. And then I made birdhouses. And then my birdhouses, they grew in numbers and into the thousands of birdhouses. And I became the birdhouse street art artist. And then I started making bigger and bigger scrap wood sculptures. And then I made scenography for my band and my friends' bands. And then it grew and morphed into becoming like these really, really big sculptures. And then they couldn't fit in the streets. And then I started putting them in the forest and started calling them trolls.
So, when you started creating those sculptures, where did that idea come from to create these giant trolls?
Well, first it was other types of sculptures. So like I made a big horse and a snake, and I made like a castle for ducks in a lake. So like an artificial island that had a big castle that ducks could live in. And like so all different things that both kind of like had a purpose and a function, but also was a sculpture. And then I always involved people in big workshops to do it. And then at some point like I was doing like big studies for like making this shark, and because it had to look like a shark, and it was just a little bit, I think it was also a little bit lazy, like it's okay to be lazy.
You don't seem very lazy, but go on.
Yeah, but or maybe impatient. Impatient's probably a better word. But then I thought like if I make a mythical creature rather than a specific animal, then I can just freestyle it and just take it right out of my imagination. And that's when it kind of like started changing from being more these specific things and animals, or like more like a sculpture of a woman breaking a big Kalashnikov, or like it made different type of wooden sculptures also at that point. But I thought like if I make trolls, I decide what they look like, and I can decide the stories. And so I just thought that was really nice, and that's when it started to become giants and then become trolls.
Your trolls have just connected with people in an incredibly powerful way all over the world. Do you remember when you first became aware of how people were reacting to your trolls?
Oh, but it's been so many times and so many stories I've heard. I remember one story when we were building on like, and this was before I was really able of hiding them in nature, because like at that point nobody really wanted to pay me to hide a sculpture, because it seemed like who should pay me to do that, right?
Right.
So if I would hide it in nature, I would pay for it, or I would just do it myself. So then one thing that I was paid for back then was to do a sculpture outside of a hardware store in Denmark. And then actually I wanted to make it so there was these light fixtures like that kind of like looked like a big nail. It was like a 3 4 inch pipe that went up like 10 12 feet, and then it was like a flat headed lamp on top of it. So it looked like a big nail. And then I was like, since it's a hardware store, I'm going to make a big giant troll that then sits with a big club or a big hammer and then smacking down these different lights all over the parking lot into the ground. So then I was like, maybe I can just cut like 8 of them and then bring them down. So it looks like it already smacked the eight of. So it's like in the process of smacking down all the lights all over the parking lot. I thought it was funny, right? But then they wouldn't let me do that because they were like, then you destroy all the light and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to make instead one that's sitting with a hammer and then building a face of a woman troll. So there's a male troll that was then building the face of a woman troll because it was like me, myself, I was building all my troll companions, and then my troll companion was then building like a companion for itself, like it's like an image of myself in some way. And then I remember that there was a man who then wrote me a story about like that every time he passed this bicycle path and this area where it was, his like 5-year-old daughter would say like, I think it's almost finished building the woman now because I
Oh,
can see it's almost done now, you know. So I remember like that, like feeling of that, like, oh, it must really have connected with
right.
them like that. But
It's living in their imaginations.
but also it's because I built my sculptures so much in secrecy, and because they're like hidden away and they're built in places in the world where I don't come back to see them. And so that creates like this kind of like a little bit of disconnect of understanding like how many people actually come to see the sculptures. Because then like I've been seeing the numbers on the social media grow and grow and grow, and I've been hearing all these stories about like how many people come to this park. And yeah, it's been wild to understand how it's been growing. And then also like all the volunteers I have, they are all like seniors because we work like me and my team, we work like Monday to Friday in the normal working hours, you know. So it's
Right.
like all the like the younger employed people, they don't have time to just come and volunteer in those hours because they are out making a living at that time, right? So but there was like one moment where there was really a penny drop moment for me, and that was like at Burning Man last year where I had built this massive, massive sculpture. And then like I thought all my fans were kids and like retirees. But then I come to Burning Man and there's like I'm a star here. And like I just had not seen that coming, you know, like because like
Right.
I don't really see all those people who go and see the sculpture, and then all of a sudden I'm in this place with all like the cool young artsy people, and then they all know my work, and everybody stops me and tells me about that we saw the one in Seattle or we saw the one in Germany or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy journey.
It's quite a phenomenon. And so you're trying to build trolls in all 50 states. Why did you decide you wanted to do that?
So I've always said that I'm really, can you also say this in the US that you can be like quality over quantity?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've
Yeah.
always said that I'm a really quantity over quality type of individual, you know? So, and I think it comes from graffiti because in graffiti, I used to be in the graffiti world and paint graffiti myself and tag and bomb the streets and vehicles and all that. And quantity is like there's different ways that you can have your claim to fame in graffiti, you know, and one is location and one is quality. And so there's different ways, you know, and me being super impatient, I was like, my claim to fame was more quantity than quality. So I brought that into building sculptures. And then all of a sudden I saw that then the quality slowly followed, you know, because quantity is also practice. So you learn how to, and you also get not only practice of shaping and like that, but you also learn how to produce it fast and efficiently. So then all of a sudden, at some point in my career, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, now I have this superpower that I can produce fast, efficiently, and really nice at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
I think in graffiti we have this term that's called like all city king, which basically mean that you've been like all over the city, you painted all the different subway stations, or like that you're all over the city. So then I'm gonna be all state king. You know, I'm gonna put one in each state because it's a great, and then also just a great goal. It's a funny goal, and it's a goal that's easily explained and easily understood.
The trolls in Clinton are really a story about logging. There's one outside the Sawmill Museum. And obviously, you've been working with the folks in Clinton to develop kind of a storyline there. And you use all recycled materials. Volunteers help build these giant sculptures. I mean, there's really an environmental ethic here. obviously we want to be dazzled and amazed and feel the magic of the trolls, but also do you want people to connect with the history of logging and sustainability when they go to Clinton to see these trolls?
I don't like to call myself environmental or sustainable. I think the words are just like they're under attack for different reasons. I like to call myself for the garbage artist, and I like to talk about trash because I think everybody have grown up in a world where their mother or their father have told them like, hey, you have to eat all the food that you put on your plate. Because if you don't eat it, then you waste that food. And that would be a shame because somebody else could have eaten it. And I think everybody can agree to that. So that's my mission. It is to show that there is like endless value in the endless trash. So that basically means that we are throwing out unlimited wealth. And that wealth can be translated into great artistic experiences, or you can also start a whole company and become a millionaire if you learn how to see that trash as a treasure. And that's what I try to do with my art. I just try to open people's eyes, open people's trash cans, and share the stories about what is all that trash. Because it has the power to suffocate and kill our planet, but it also have the power to create a new world. And that is the story of my trolls, and I think that's why it's become such a phenomenon and it's attracted so many people. It's because people like that positive story, and they like to be a part of something that gives hope.
Danish artist Thomas Dambo. He is world famous for his giant troll sculptures. This spring, he unveiled 3 troll sculptures in Clinton, Iowa. We visited Clinton during the building process, and we'll be sharing the conversations we had there in a moment. Dambo was also in Elkhorn at the Museum of Danish America for the unveiling of the troll there. His name is Fjord Ferryman. And at that event, Dambo reminisced about his early career as a rapper, and IPR arts and culture reporter Josie Fischels recorded what he claimed is his final performance of the Garbage Artist song.
The type of MacGyver that lights a fire with a bit of cider and a windshield wiper. I'm a fighter. I fight for the freedom of trash. For nobody to lug it up and burn it down to the ash. They call it dirty, worthless, cheap, and nasty. I say.
This is Talk of Iowa from IPR News. It's Talk of Iowa from IPR News. I'm Charity Nebbe. This hour, we are talking about giant trolls. On April 14th, we visited Clinton, Iowa to see Thomas Dambo's giant trolls as they were under construction. The Clinton trolls are spread out around town. Marvin is at Bigelhopt Arboretum, Warren is hidden inside the Canadian Pacific Depot, and Helmut is outside of the Sawmill Museum. And that's where we started our visit. The Sawmill Museum is the organization that convinced Thomas Dambo to bring his trolls to Iowa. And I'm not just at the Sawmill Museum. I am in a working sawmill right now where they are working on building a troll. With me, Andy Green, Executive Director of the Sawmill Museum. Hello, Andy.
Hello, how are you?
Great. And Ari Leverance is the board president for the Sawmill Museum. Hello, Ari.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
It's so wonderful to talk with both of you. And Ari, give me some background. Where did the idea of bringing Thomas Dambo and his trolls to Iowa begin?
Well, aside from being a Dambo fan, I met his work at the Mortimer Arboretum a few years back. But then once I was chair of the Sawmill Museum, I thought, what a cool tie to our lumber history to bring a giant made out of wood that we could tell our story and our town story. So that became a project for us to activate our grounds. We have some land here nearby the Sawmill Museum that is near the Mississippi. And we thought, can we invite an artist just to build a sculpture by the Mississippi? Do you think that will be exciting? And, well, 3 years later, here we're sitting down and waiting for these trolls to be built.
It's so exciting. And I don't know that everyone is familiar with the lumber industry and the history here in Clinton. Andy, do you want to give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, in the late 1800s, as we were building out the West and really the big boom in like making houses out of lumber, Clinton, Iowa happened to become the like focal point for the lumber industry. And we had 6 major sawmills in Clinton. They said it was the lumber capital of the world. They brought logs down from the North Woods in Wisconsin, and they would bring them on the Mississippi. And then we happened to be the spot where there was a railroad bridge crossing the Mississippi. And so they were able to cut the wood here and get it onto trains and get it out into the rest of the states and start, really building out America. And that was about a 20 to 30 year period. And then they ran out of logs. And so then the lumber industry left us. But the history of the sawmills here in Clinton has still left a mark on Clinton for all time.
And okay, back to trolls. Thomas Dambo is planning to build trolls in all 50 states. And organizations that get these trolls, they do have to pay something to make this happen. But you also have to convince him to build where you want him to build. Like, people all over this country are wooing him right now to try to get the trolls. And Ari, you were the chief wooer. Tell me how you did this.
I've been in Clinton for 15 years now, and I'm a big cheerleader for this town. And I thought, the tie with the Mississippi River, or story, because in Thomas Dambo's history and stories, the trolls are the good guys and the humans, we are the villains, because we are not taking care of our earth, we are not reusing, and we are very lazy to recycle. So these giants are built out of trash, because all this wood would have been discarded, burned. So the milling, I thought we have a saw, we have a shop, and we have wood. So we were like, hey, look at us. So it took about, probably 8 to 9 months for him to maybe pay attention to us. And for that, we sent many, many messages. I reached out so many times, and I had given up. And I thought, well, maybe Clinton is not. And I was mad at myself, because I thought, I'm getting into this, Clinton is not worth it. It can't happen in Clinton. But then one day I wake up to an email from his team saying, hey, are you still interested? And that's just snowballed from there, because it was just fantastic how we said, yes, we can be one. And our pitch was, listen, just come see it. Come see the bluffs. Come see Iowa. Come see the Mississippi. And once you see it, tell us no. But you cannot say no without being here, because we have this history, plus the things we're living today sounds like a perfect fit for your trolls that bring materials to life, and we want to bring our community back to shine. So,
and did you actually write a little bit of poetry in this process, Ari?
I sent many messages, and I wrote essays. I wrote a poem. I sent short notes, and yes, one of them was a poem, because, like I said, I'm a cheerleader for our community, and I do think that there's a lot of enchantment and magic around. So I was trying to convey that to the artist, and he did say when he came here, listen, we get thousands and thousands of requests all the time, and you guys got our attention. So I'm so excited.
Nice. Clinton has been a little down on its luck in recent years in a lot of ways. But there have been some really creative projects also that have grown out of people's love for this town and an effort really, again, to help it shine again. Gabby Torres is an amazing artist, and she's created the Paint It Back event every year. Driving into Clinton, you see the murals that have come out of that project. I'd love for both of you to weigh in on this. Do you feel like this is part of a movement that's happening in Clinton?
I think so too. I think if it wasn't because Gabby felt that this town could hold her inspiration and her projects, and it's not just Paint It Back. She has done other exhibits. Right now we have the Grove downtown that is a forest of art. It's just a pocket park, and she's on her 4th year that she's going to renew those installations with different artists. So she has been a world traveler, born in Clinton, and then she came here and said, you know what? It can happen here. And for me personally, she's my bestie. So for me, it was looking at her, and I tell her all the time, you're my inspiration, because I saw that it was possible here, because she was like, it can be done here. And then for us is more, let's go outside and let's bring kick-ass art for our community, so that they don't have to go anywhere, because our community maybe cannot go see, your Museum of Arts in any other cities, but what if we bring art for them here, for them to enjoy? So it's absolutely tied to it.
What are your thoughts on this? I mean, I know, Andy, you've been with the Sawmill Museum just for less than a year?
It's well, depending on what day it is today,
Right.
about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you've been really engaged with the community in other ways, but tell me what you see happening in Clinton right now.
Oh, I think Clinton's definitely on an upswing, and I think it's been on an upswing for a little bit, but I still think our best days are in front of us. And I feel like there are so many people in our community that see the potential in our community and the great things that are happening here all the time. And we're capitalizing on that. Like with, say, bringing the trolls into our community, that's not just a new thing that's going to enlighten our community. It's capitalizing on something that's already happening in our community and just growing that movement. And I think that there's just so much good happening in our community that this is just a great place to be. And I grew up here, and Clinton was a great place to be in the 90s. And then I had I went through a stint saying, well, I'm never going to move back to Clinton, and then it just kind of happened for me. And that was not on my bucket list, I guess. And now I can't imagine having done anything else.
To bring the trolls to Clinton, I mean, not only did you have to woo Thomas Dambo, but you also really had to organize a fundraising effort and bring a lot of community organizations together. Ari, this has been an incredible undertaking.
It is my part-time job. I like to say that I work for Citizens First Bank. It's a community bank, and they support us going out in the community and taking on projects because they believe that we should reinvest in our community instead of stocks and bonds. So I've been working on this day and night, but what is impressive is from being a Dambo fan, he said, listen, once I start picking up wood and making just like birdhouses, and I realized that when you do cool stuff, you will find that your friends will help you. And then if your friends will help you, then other people want to join. Because if you're doing something positive and for the right reasons, people are going to want to join. So we started, I absolutely couldn't have done it without the support of my board. The Sawmill Museum board was there for us. We have a group of wonderful people that just want to see things happen. And they were like, let's go, let's run with it. In that board, we have leaders around the community in different realms, so different organizations and industries. And then the word starts spreading. And this is like fire. It just picks up and just goes. And the Thomas Dambo team gives you, we need certain volunteers. And when you look at the numbers of the volunteers you need, you go, can we actually do this? And what's been wonderful about our community, and that's another thing that Clinton doesn't give themselves enough credit, is the community would just show up if you need it. And I've been through a lot in 15 years, and the community has shown up for me. And now with this project, people are starting to feel that pride. And they're saying, these are our trolls. And I danced in my wedding on that floor that you're about to build that troll with. Yes. And there's some benches from the Arboretum that were, memorial benches. And now they're going to be part of the troll. So we're incorporating history. And I feel like people here understand that. And we're trying to give them with art. It's not just the trolls, but with all the art explosions we're making happen in this town, we're giving people a reason to say, yeah, this is our town. Come see our town, and taking that pride in our community.
Did you run into naysayers? Because, the trolls will be...
yeah.
Okay. But the trolls, they will attract people to Clinton, and I know you firmly believe that, but nobody has to spend any money to look at a troll.
Right.
And so I know people want this to be an economic investment, an economic value.
Yes.
Is that where you ran into trouble? Did people say, I don't get it. Why would anybody look at a troll?
Well, the first thing when you say troll, people frown and they say, what? We have enough internet trolls, right? But the thing is, we're giving this whimsical tone to the troll. And then once people start learning about it, they go, what? And I still have naysayers. They're still waiting to see if there's actually that many number of people that are going to come visit our community. But I've seen it over and over just following Thomas Dambo, and how small towns of maybe a couple thousand people in populations, they just burst. And they burst all year round. It's not just one day where they get, versus a festival that brings people, thousands of people for a weekend. This is going to be granular. And then our first season, which is 2026 season, is going to be booming, and obviously it's going to come down a little bit, but we're going to get so many groups of people just traveling. And now that we're getting Elkhorn, so it's the Iowa Trolls from east to west.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the road trips that people are going to take? And my first big girl job was in tourism, which is economic development. And I know that in a group of 4, if you travel with 4 people in your car, people are going to spend around $400 on a visit. And that's if they don't stay. So what if we have 3 trolls connecting our community in a very cool triangle? So if you have downtown, you have the residential area, and then the north end by the river at the sawmill, you're going to have people driving around our community, checking out our stores, eating some ice cream, putting gas in their car, and that's exactly what we need. We need people to come see us, to come visit our businesses and support the community. So I think it's going to be a boom.
And the Elkhorn Troll may not have happened if you hadn't already convinced Thomas to come to Iowa and build trolls.
I don't think so, because what I know is that they did have an exhibit, a hand and a foot of a troll. So they're, the National Danish Museum is who's bringing those trolls. But it was Thomas's team who said, hey, we're actually going to be in Iowa this year. What about you guys want to join? And imagine if the team of Thomas Dambo calls you and what do you say?
Yes.
You make it happen. That's what I did. I'm like, I'll make it happen. And thankfully, the Sawmill Museum has wonderful partnerships with the city of Clinton. The city of Clinton has been super helpful with us. Also, the utilities, power, water. We have industry. You just witnessed Helmut's head going up above. And that's all our industrials and our organizations and businesses helping us out because they want to be a part of it. And they are taking pride on our new installation. So it warms my heart.
We are listening to conversations from our April visit to Clinton, a town with troll fever. I've been talking with Andy Green, Executive Director of the Sawmill Museum, and Ari Leverance, President of the Sawmill Museum Board of Directors. She is the one who convinced Danish artist Thomas Dambo to build 3 giant trolls in Clinton. We'll hear more from them in a moment and meet some of the other people who brought the Clinton trolls to life. This is Talk of Iowa from IPR News. It's Talk of Iowa from IPR News. I'm Charity Nebbe. Giant trolls created by Danish artist Thomas Dambo came to life in Iowa this spring. In April, a giant troll was unveiled at the Museum of Danish America in Elkhorn. In May, 3 trolls were unveiled in Clinton, Iowa. The trolls are spread out around town. Marvin is at Bickelhaupt Arboretum, Warren is hidden inside the Canadian Pacific Depot, and Helmut is outside of the Sawmill Museum. And that's where we started our visit on April 14th. The Sawmill Museum is the organization that convinced Thomas Dambo to bring his trolls to Iowa. We have been hearing from Andy Green, Executive Director of the Sawmill Museum, and Ari Leverance, President of the Sawmill Museum Board of Directors. Marvin Thompson is one of the volunteers who was eagerly waiting for us to wrap up our interview so he could get back to work. He is a local woodworker and head volunteer at the sawmill. He has put in hundreds of hours just prepping the wood for the build, and I asked him how he got involved.
Oh, Andy asked me. That's the long and the short of it. I mean, I enjoy woodworking, and this was kind of the opposite of woodworking. It was more like destruction, but it's been fun, been interesting. We had a great group of volunteers that came over 4 weekends last month, worked from 9 to noon, and I mean, you couldn't ask for better people.
When was the first time you saw one of these trolls?
When they said they were going to do them here, I haven't.
You haven't seen one in person?
No, I haven't.
No.
Well, I have now, but not before. No, I really wasn't aware of them.
Did it take any convincing for you to get on board with the project? It's kind of a weird sounding idea.
No, that's the kind of ideas I like the best. Something a little off of the beaten path. No, I've enjoyed it. And now that we're helping with the build, grunt work, but it's the work that needs to be done, finding out how they're going together, It's pretty fun.
Yeah. So what's you said destruction. What's this process been like? I mean, getting all of the old flooring, I'm sure wasn't easy, and then to make it ready for the trolls, that's been quite an ordeal.
The group of people, we'd break them up into sections. One group would take the subfloor off of the back and then pull the nails that held the flooring to the subfloor. Then they would send it, well, actually, they'd take the back off, and they'd send it over to guys that pull the nails, and they'd send it to people that would break it apart. So we had 2 sets of 3 working all the time, so you had to keep them fed with material. And started out with long pieces. They were probably 15 feet long, which you got a lot of use out of the time. And then we got to the shorter pieces, and we had 4 people that were just doing the whole thing, breaking them all down, pulling nails.
Now that the trolls are starting to take shape, we saw Helmut get his head today, and of course the
Yes.
body will follow. And you've been working out at the Arboretum too?
No.
No, okay.
No.
But
I went out
have
and
you
took
seen
pictures,
it?
But that
Okay.
was it. Yeah, I took some pictures and watched the squirrels run through it. I thought that was great.
Volunteer Marvin Thompson. We traveled to the Bickelhaupt Arboretum where the final touches were being put on a sleepy troll reclining under an oak tree. Coincidentally, his name is also Marvin. Jim Campbell is a volunteer helping out at that site. We caught him during a lunch break. He was lounging in a position that looked a lot like the troll he was helping to build. I asked him what made him want to volunteer.
I've been retired. This is my 20th year of retirement, and I look for things to do. That'd be fun to work on the troll. But you got to sign up on the computer. I don't have computers. But I showed up. They were supposed to have an orientation the very first day of safety. And I work for a company that safety first is the ultimate. So I wanted to hear the safety lecture. I came up, and she said there was an opening. So I worked, and
You've been working ever since, huh?
let's see what I put in 5 today. So I got about 43 hours so far
Wow.
on this.
Wow. So you've put a lot of work into this
no,
beautiful troll.
I mainly cut the boards, see where they're putting the wood on for the ankle.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on that one board this morning for over an hour, cutting and fitting and getting it all, screwed it in, and one of those guys that's the artist come by. It wasn't good, and he thought, take it off and redo it. Okay, I'll work on this other stuff.
Well, you're still an important part of this process. And you grew up in Clinton?
Yes, I did. I lived right across the street from this land.
Yeah.
I started coming over here when I was about 7 years old. I have nothing but wonderful memories of this when it was a farm.
So you also have memories of this tree that Marvin's sleeping under. Can you tell me about that?
When I was young, we climbed that tree. It wasn't this big now, but one of the people who lived there rented the farmhouses, the Shadles. Joey and I, we'd come out here and play, and we'd climb up in the tree and just look at the branches.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for working so hard on this and for talking with us.
I'm just cutting the boards for the artist guys to length.
Somebody's got to cut the boards for the artists.
And after cutting that one, spending so much time on it, that's not my expertise.
That's volunteer Jim Campbell. Now back over to the Sawmill Museum, where a troll named Helmut was starting to take shape. Ari Leverance and Andy Green watched closely as Helmut's head was put in place. Green has only known about the existence of these trolls for about a year, but he is already a certifiable troll hunter. I asked him how many he's seen.
19. Yeah, 19 of them. I saw my first one in August. Ann Eisenman and I Ann has the Arboretum. We went up to Wisconsin with my mother and saw Mama Rosa up in Wauwatosa. And then my buddy lives in Louisville, so I was going to go down and see those. And then the government shutdown happened, so my plans got changed, so I ended up over in Dayton. There's a traveling exhibit over in Omaha, and then I saw the ones up in Detroit Lakes. But I'm totally the type of person that you build a troll for, because I see a troll and I'm like, well, I have to go see all these trolls now. So most of my vacations are just seeing things that I've already seen all the partners. I have to go see the other things now. And so it's like I'm one that I'll plan a vacation now around seeing these trolls. So I guess
totally hooked. You're
I'm
a
my
troll
own
addict.
target audience. Yeah. Yeah. And something that I did not know existed before Ari talked about it last January, and now I'm driving around America again looking for trolls.
So Andy, look at Helmut's face and tell me what you see, and you can already see his personality coming to life. Who do you think Helmut is?
Well, what I love about Helmut is that he has bags under his eyes. And I feel like a lot of us in town have bags under our eyes, where it's like people that are dedicated. So I feel like that's kind of Helmut, and I haven't met Helmut fully quite yet, but just seeing his brother's faces, where it's like I feel like Helmut's like the dedicated one. So,
okay, he's the hard worker.
Yes.
Over here at the Sawmill Museum. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and Helmut's lifting up a tree. He has a tree in a pot. So where the other guys are kind of like hanging out, and not
Taking
to say
a
that
nap,
they're not
right,
busy
loafing.
either, but Helmut's still at work, and the bags under his eyes are my favorite part of it. Yeah.
That is Andy Green, Executive Director of the Sawmill Museum in Clinton. We are ending today with the dreamer who started all of this, Ari Leverance, President of the Board of Directors for the Sawmill Museum. She got to watch as Thomas Dambo found his inspiration for the designs of the Clinton trolls. I asked her what that was like.
I feel like maybe the trolls are part of like his soul, because he just like walks around and looks real like focused, right? The artist at work and just like going. So he comes here, walks around the park, and then he looks at this tree and he goes, and then I'm gonna put this here, but then he's like, okay. And then he goes, and I'm like, he's like, this troll is taking this tree. That's what he's gonna do, because it's history, it's his family.
So he'll wrap his arms around the tree.
He wrapped his arms around the tree and then he had it. And he's like, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna have to trim this tree. He already knew exactly what was happening and what will happen. And now we're seeing it. 3 years later, it's absolutely happening as he envisioned it back in February. So
That's amazing.
Crazy. Then, when he's talking about why a troll inside, and it's because our story holds so much lumber and so many things were done in a house inside, troll like with wood details, that he went, that smells like my mom. And it's like, you will get the goosebumps, because his head, you could see his brain just turning and what his trolls could be doing here in Clinton. So it's just so exciting.
And
it's so exciting.
The
just
vision
being
is
there.
almost a reality.
It's coming through. It's coming through. It's really a dream for us, and now we're just making it happen.
I stood next to you while you watched Helmut's head get put into place. What were you thinking?
It's just, I couldn't even breathe, because he's looking at this head that is up 3 stories high, and I'm sure Helmut can see the river from where he's at, and just, I don't know, it's just seeing the dream becoming a reality, and I have no good words to describe the emotions and how excited I am of seeing this happening for our community. And I'm grateful, because it wouldn't have happened. It's not Ari's trolls, it's not the Sawmill trolls, it's our community trolls. It's Clinton, Iowa, just coming back to flourish. Our town is going to speak in wood once again, because we're going to bring that history and we're going to merge it with art. And I feel like art is what brings communities back to life, and sometimes we need art, because there's only love when you make art. So that's what we need in our community. Yes, we have the smokestacks. Yes, we're a rural community on the Rust Belt, but I feel like there's a lot of creativity and a lot of people that want to make things happen here. So this is just wonderful.
In the process of convincing Thomas Dambo to come here and build trolls, you wrote a poem. Would you read that for me?
I would. I will read. I keep my poem book with me in my bag all the time. So.
Do you write poetry a lot, or was it just for trolls?
It's for mental health. So
Right.
This is my first time ever publicly sharing my work. So once upon a time, there was a small town where the river sang at the rhythm of saws, and logs floated down from the northern woods, thousands upon thousands, gold beneath the moon. They came to rest where the river kissed the bluffs, where men with swag and women with style turned timber into tile. Then the river slowed, the barons moved on, and silence settled, and so the whistles and the shores. Now we want to stir the past once more. The trolls, they listen, they see. They live where people believe. Confined or corner, tucked under the tree, wishing that Clinton can speak in wood and be free.
Ari Leverance is the woman who convinced Danish artist Thomas Dambo to build 3 giant trolls in Clinton. They were unveiled on May 1st. Helmut is outside the Sawmill Museum. He looks like he's trying to take a beautiful tree home with him. He's carrying it in a pot. Warren is hidden inside the former Canadian Pacific Depot, and Marvin is resting under an oak tree at Bickelhaupt Arboretum. They joined a new troll at the Museum of Danish America in Elkhorn as well. His name is Fjord Ferryman, and they are all worth a visit. Talk of Iowa is a production of IPR News. This episode was produced by Samantha McIntosh with support from our digital producer, Natalie Dunlap, and producer Danny Gear. I'm Charity Nebbe.